Hey everyone, glad to be back. I just saw Solo. Well, I saw it last night, and I have to say, I've really liked it. Of course, it's not the perfect movie. Again, I say this every time, no such thing as a perfect movie, but I did enjoy Solo. It felt like, a decent. Maybe I'd give it a B or a C if I were to give it an actual grade. Star Wars movie. With these side movies, I honestly go in not expecting too much, to be honest. Rogue One, I went in not expecting too much, and I was pleasantly surprised at the turnout. What Disney's doing now that they own Star Wars is they're going back and kind of filling in the mythology that they've retconned. And of course, there are better people to talk on Star Wars than me. But I've been a fan my whole life, so I know a thing or two. But I'm enjoying these sort of these little one-offs or side stories to fill in sort of the mythos that they're going with now. There are some events that happen in Solo that I think set up something very interesting to come in the future. These side movies seem to be dictating or indicating things that will happen in the main plot, which is great. Disney can afford to do these side movies to sort of fill in the gaps that they've created, and to make the Star Wars story more concise. Because for a long time there were Star Wars stories, everywhere. I felt like maybe a lot of those stories, although deeply loved by fans, a lot of them were sort of off the beating path, and there was just too much. And what Disney is doing now is trying to sort of concentrate them and have more control and understanding of where things are and where they're going to go. So that's where Solo comes in, and that's where Rogue One comes in. They're kind of fixing and tweaking little things that were wrong in the Star Wars universe. I've said this before, but I don't think George Lucas, at least when he was writing the prequels, wasn't as passionate or maybe as strong as a writer as he was with the originals. And those aren't perfect, although, most of us watch it when we're kids, so of course we have that sort of ideology that it's like the best thing ever. Don't touch those, nothing's wrong with the originals. There's plenty wrong with the original series, and what I think they're doing now is filling those gaps, making this series, saga, whatever, as tight as it has ever been, and I really love it. So now going into Solo, really great cast, first of all, really solid cast. And by the way, there's going to be spoilers in this review. I apologize in advance. If you have not watched yet, come back after you've watched the movie and finish watching the review. This is going to be full of spoilers. So, brilliant cast, great cast. Woody Harrelson, Donald Glover, Emilia Clarke, a lot of big names. Donald Glover has become a very big name recently, and I was really excited to see him in this as Lando. Now, I'm just going to talk about him first because, I was excited, and I do love Donald Glover and a lot of the things he does. I'm going to get closer to the mic here. A lot of the things he does, it felt like a very different Lando than the Lando we knew from Empire Strikes Back and so forth. So it was just, this takes place, I think, 10 years-ish, about 10 years before A New Hope. So that it's just like maybe a lot of these characters have not grown into the people we have seen, especially in New Hope, and from there. 10 years is a lot can change in 10 years, so I'll leave it to that. Donald Glover, I guess it's also a different era. Billy D. Williams, when he played Lando, he was just sort of like a cool cat kind of guy. That's the way I describe Billy D's Lando. He's just sort of a cool guy, like sort of suave and, you know, charming. And it's funny, Donald Glover did an interview, and I think it was on Ellen, and Ellen asked him, you know, about his time and when he spoke to Billy D. And basically, Donald Glover being sort of like really into it and wanting to do everything right, he kind of dove in and was like doing his own research and deciding what to bring to Lando. And Billy D basically told him, like, you know, just be charming. That's all it takes to be Lando at his core. Just, you know, the rest will come. You just have to kind of get the sort of core element, which is, you know, Lando's just a cool freaking dude. He's just like a cool guy. So when I saw that interview, I thought that was funny because the way Donald Glover approached Lando, it was he seemed a little skittish. He wasn't as you know, Lando in the original series he's sort of skittish, but he's just like, he has that cool charisma you know, thing going, and he has a lot of confidence, but he's still a swindler, as we know. And this is sort of, we get to sort of see him at his roots, to be sort of in the middle. Maybe he's been like kind of screwing people over for a while, and but he doesn't, the way Donald Glover plays Lando, he doesn't have that like super confident, suave, cool factor yet. He's getting there. Like, he has like the motions down, like the very laid back kind of cool guy thing going on, but he's just not he's not the same as Billy D's Lando yet. I'm gonna keep saying yet because, you know, there's a time difference there. So while I did like Donald Glover's portrayal of Lando, I just think it was very different. I didn't totally buy him as Lando, but again, 10-year difference, so it's very forgivable, and, you know, he's still very entertaining to watch anyway. But there's a scene in the film, and now I'm sort of, this is very rambly and disconnected, but one of my favorite scenes in the film is when Han is kind of tossed into a cage, I guess, with the beast that apparently eats people. And you kind of, like, as you approach that scene, you kind of already know what that beast is going to be. And while I'm saying it, you probably already could figure it out if you haven't watched the movie yet. But of course, the beast turns out to be Chewbacca, our faithful furry friend Chewbacca. And they get into a big sort of, it's like basically a wrestling match, and it's just a really fun scene. I thought it was shot well. The pacing was well. I just thought it was a cool scene to add in there. I don't know. Again, I don't know if this conflicts with other stories about how Han and Chewie met, maybe in the previous canon. I'm not sure. I don't have that information. But the way they did it here, it didn't kind of oversell it, which is what I like. And people are, I know a lot of other people that review or, you know, talk about movies were upset that everything kind of seemed muted and underwhelming, I guess, to them. But I think it's better when you don't kind of try to exaggerate or play up scenes too much. Some people might have think they played it up too much, but I think it was just the right amount. Ron Howard did a good job at that, and then Ron Howard's always done a good job at that. But people are going to sort of, you know, take what they will or what they want away from it. But I just thought it was a cool scene, a cool introduction to, you know, one of the most classic friendships in all of cinema. So I just like that the first time Han and Chewie meet each other, they're basically beating the crap out of each other. And then from then on, it's kind of like the camaraderie grows slowly, and we start feeling like it's Han and Chewie, you know, at the root of their powers together. And, you know, one of the probably the biggest issue I have with the movie is with Emilia Clarke's character, because they keep her like anything that goes on with her is just very vague. and very mysterious. And the way they approach it isn't very. It's very sort of like it's just not good writing. Maybe I understand what they were trying to do, and I know this film had problems at various stages. But, you know, this isn't to discredit Emilia at all. She did great in the role, but I think just like some of the stuff that character is given isn't great. It's just intentionally vague to create interest and sort of a cliffhanger, I guess, which is what it sets up with Emilia Clarke's character is very cool. I didn't expect it, but it seems like... And this is a big spoiler if you have not seen Solo yet, so you click out now if you don't want to know. But there is a scene towards the end of the film where Emilia Clarke tells Han to sort of like go ahead of her. She'll be right behind him. Classic move. And she stays behind, kind of shuts the windows, and all of a sudden a hologram comes up. On one of those base things, those hologram projectors. And it's freaking Darth Maul. Pretty sure it was Darth Maul. Like, I'm not 90% sure it was Darth Maul. But that means freaking Darth Maul is alive in the cinematic universe. Which a lot of people that watch the shows already, like Rebels and stuff, already, they're familiar with sort of a Darth Maul story besides... Phantom Menace. But again, I only really consume the films. Sometimes I'll deep dive into the lore whenever I'm curious, but this is exciting for me to see that Darth Maul is still around, because I think they built him up a lot in Phantom Menace, and he's just a cool looking character. He's a badass looking character. Just to have him get cut in half by Obi-Wan and then that be it. No. So Darth Maul is here, and this is what I'm talking about when I say that these side films are good at indicating things that will happen in the main movie, because I'm guessing part 9 we see Darth Maul in some capacity, or maybe they're saving Darth Maul for 10, 11, 12. The whole new generation, the one that's like out of the whole Skywalker thing. Because that's what they have to. That's what's going to happen. It's at the end of all of it, there's going to be less Skywalker. Skywalker is just going to be the beginning of this whole Star Wars freaking universe. Because I believe they wanted to make 20 movies or something like that. I don't know if that's correct, but I vaguely remember them reading I vaguely remember reading something saying they wanted to make 20 movies, which is insane. How many movies? We're at 4, I guess, now. So maybe it's not as insane if they put out one a year. The Obi-Wan movie will probably come out next year, or maybe the Boba Fett. I don't know which one. I'm assuming the Obi-Wan one. Or part 9 is going to come out next year, and then it's going to be one of the side films. But guys, it sets up really, like, Darth Maul is a villain I loved as a child, seeing the Phantom Menace before I knew better. I enjoyed it when I was younger. I enjoyed the pod race scenes, and I enjoyed the games and toys that came along with Episode 1. But going back to it as an adult, it doesn't have the same charm as going back and watching A New Hope and Empire and Jedi. So seeing or knowing that Darth Maul is coming back in a big way is just really exciting, and I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways from this movie, is just seeing that one scene and knowing that's still on the horizon, because we already know what happens to Han in The Force Awakens. We don't know what happens to Lando. I don't think. If I'm forgetting something, forgive me, but Lando can still come back. I don't know if it's going to be Billy D, or if they're going to sort of age Donald Glover to take over as Lando. And also Emilia Clarke's character is probably going to be aged up in some way, because some people die in this movie, but there's a lot that are not dead. and so is Woody Harrelson's character. They left all those characters. There's so many characters left living in that film, besides Han and 2 others, I'd say. And there's just a whole new group of allies. They set so much up in this movie. They gave you so much to what I'm sure they're going to bring back later. It's just, you know, Disney can afford to make a movie just to build the universe. They could throw money at a Star Wars movie just to world build, instead of, you know, putting out a bunch of comic books and other books to you know, get people on board with and fill in the gaps. Let's just make a solo movie. Let's make a couple $1,000,000, maybe make our money back and then some, and we'll have, you know, we'll fill in all these gaps, or, you know, start beefing up this new sort of renovated world, and, you know, get going with the next decade of movies. So, all in all, I really liked the film. I thought it was, you know, at its core, it's just a heist film. It's really just, you know, we're going to rob stuff, but we're a group of friends or frenemies or whatever you want to call it. And it's, you know, it's enjoyable. So, I think you should go see it. When I do my reviews, I either say see it or don't see it, but I really rarely do reviews of movies that I don't like. So if you're seeing a review on this channel, chances are I probably like the movie, unless I hated it so much and I thought it was so terrible that I had to talk about it. Otherwise, if I review a movie, I probably like it and I just want to talk about it. So yeah, there it is. I'd say go see Solo. You may or may not like it. I think it's, you know, as a film itself, it's very average. I think that's probably due to a lot of the issues it had early on with production and, you know, getting the right people, switching directors, I believe. But Ron Howard did a good job. I think he did a good job bringing it back and making a really solid, fun, interesting movie that sets up a lot of other cool stuff down the line, which I think is at its root what the purpose of that movie. But again, you have Disney making it. They're going to make a movie that they could just, you know, throw a couple million at and get in return, because it's Star Wars after all. And, you know, they're going to make a ton of money with Star Wars movies and be able to fill in anything they want to fill in to set up things down the line. Or, you know, sort of fix things that didn't really have explanation before, like why the Death Star had such a fatal flaw in Rogue One. So if you guys, let me know how you felt about the movie. Did you really hate it? Did you love it? Was it okay? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know what other Star Wars, do you want to see more Star Wars videos on this channel? You want to talk about something else? Do you think we should have more discussions about Star Wars? Or, you know, leave your recommendations. Let me know if you liked the video. Subscribe if you liked the video, because that helps too. And, you know, everybody have a good Memorial Day weekend, and I shall talk to you very soon. See you later.